Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next keynote speaker, International Chief Technology Officer at Micro Focus, Mr. Ramses Gallego.
Mr. Gallego, good afternoon and welcome to Moldova and to Moldova Cyber Week. We are honored.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's truly a pleasure. Hello from Barcelona, Spain, from sunny Barcelona, Spain. And it's truly a pleasure to be with you this afternoon. Thanks for having us.
We don't have sun here, but the atmosphere here is really very hot because the subjects and the presentations we have in this conference is getting really very hot and scary. Even though I'm myself in the paranoid group of experts, you know, so it's we're looking forward for your keynote to tell us so what is the cybersecurity ecosystem. Mr. Ramses, please.
Thank you very much. And again, thanks for having me. Absolutely. In the next 30 minutes, as an International Chief Technology Officer for Micro Focus, I'm gonna be sharing how to create effective and efficient cybersecurity ecosystem. I'm already sharing my screen, so let me start. And again, thank you for having me. When we were creating this presentation, when we were talking with my colleagues, we talked about creating, and we thought about the idea of the DNA. The DNA is the molecule that carries all of the genetic information for any living organism for birth, growth, development, reproduction of that organism. Let me repeat: birth, growth, development, function, and reproduction. Actually, when we need to create effective and efficient cybersecurity and cyber resiliency ecosystem, the idea of development and functioning, sometimes malfunctioning, I have to agree, but the idea of reproducing it, the idea of the next wave, the next epoch, the next time. When we were designing this presentation, we talk about digital disruption and digital transformation. But you know what? In order to create effective and efficient cybersecurity ecosystems, the name of the game, ladies and gentlemen, the name of the game is radical innovation. If you want to create something that is effective and efficient, the name of the game is to approach it in a different way, especially in these very pandemic times, in these very exceptional times that we are living. It is absolutely fundamental, innovative way. And of course, we need to understand with all due respect, the little chaos that we are in. We need to understand storage systems and devices and, you know, the different clouds and big data and analytics. And unfortunately, we need to understand the cyber crime arena, because the bad guys, the cyber criminals, will try to tamper with the information that is stored in the different clouds, in the different devices, so back and so forth. So we live in a sort of with all due respect, chaotic mode. But in order to create effective and efficient cybersecurity ecosystems, we at Micro Focus, we feel that the taxonomy that we need to understand is the ones that you are seeing on screen. Am I right if I say that any organization, any country, any region, any community on the planet, any CTO, CFO, compliance officer, infrastructure manager, what she or he wants to know is how to have control and full visibility and how to be effective and efficient. We say that we at Micro Focus, we understand that being effective is doing the things. Being efficient is doing things rightly. Rightly. When the adverb comes in, it changes many things. But let me follow with my list. You need to approach it in an automated, orchestrated way. How to use automation, especially you want to create effective cybersecurity ecosystems. You need to approach it in a cost-controlled manner with compliance with the law, of course, with legislation and regulations on top of our minds. And of course, with the opportunity, the unique opportunity of making people accountable. on the responsible use of resources. And then this is how we at Microfocus, we embrace identity and access management, how we understand encryption and tokenization in order to make people, or the opportunity, the willingness of making people accountable. Let me move to my second thing, to my second slide, because in order to create effective and efficient cybersecurity ecosystems, we thought about the difference about security and resiliency. I understand everybody in this room and everybody attending this fantastic second to none event and gathering and conference, you all know what security is about. And especially in these pandemic times, and we say with all due respect, with the people that unfortunately have lost, loved ones and family, but security is about what you are seeing on the left-hand side of our slide. Protecting, defending, safeguarding, that idea of protection, that it's about security. However, in the right-hand side of my slide, what you are seeing there, and we have to celebrate the people that went out on their feet, out of the hospital, people with an age, that's resiliency, ladies and gentlemen. In order to create effective and efficient cybersecurity ecosystem, you need to also embrace resiliency and cyber resiliency. And the definition is about anticipating, that's resiliency, ladies and gentlemen, anticipating, withstanding, recovering, as you are seeing, and then evolving to the next normal. So let me share a sentence with you this afternoon. You certainly can have security without resiliency. You can be secure, but you don't care about the next situation, recovering or evolving. But you cannot expect to be resilient without the foundations on security. And then the best of both worlds is that understanding cybersecurity, and on top of that, embracing, adapting, and adopting into resiliency. One of the things that we say at Microfocus, and in these very pandemic times, and in order to create effective cybersecurity ecosystems, is understanding that ecosystem that you are seeing on the screen. There are not just one, but three platforms, three ecosystems: identities, data, and applications. And they are, as you can see, pervasively connected. Am I right? Identities. Any company on the planet has identities, data, and information. Identities mean roles, people, entitlements, citizens that need to access the right data. Let me remind everyone here that different sets of data aggregated that make information. So at the end of the day, we don't want to protect data, we want to protect information. All right? Or as a consequence, we protect data because we really want to protect information. And the third platform as an ecosystem is applications. So identities, data, and applications. But let me move because when I was preparing this presentation with my colleagues in the region from Microfocus, we thought about creating, that's the title of the session that we chose, and we invited to speak about, we talk about architecture, about designing things. And in architecture, you try to make it beautiful, am I right? Actually, you try to make it, or you should try to make it flexible, adaptable, like the building that you are seeing. When you try to create effective and efficient cybersecurity ecosystems, they do not just need to be connected. So not just be connected, but be integrated. Look at my hands, integrated, like the building that you are seeing, everything pervasively connected as the three platforms that I have just told you. This is why I am looking straight into the camera when I'm saying you need to understand identities, and you need to understand data security, and you need to understand how to fortify or harden applications that go back and forth into the cloud, through the cloud, on the cloud. So when you need to create something, as with my DNA metaphor at the beginning, it has to be flexible, adaptable, connected, okay? But in order to do that, we need to understand the different clouds in plural. When you need to create effective cybersecurity ecosystems in plural, part of that ecosystem is the different clouds, correct? So what you are seeing on screen is not just the idea of a white blue, beautiful clouds that we take pictures for Instagram. No, I'm talking about the dark clouds. I'm talking about the perfect storm. I'm talking about, that we need to protect all the information that is sitting, especially in these pandemic times. If we want to create those ecosystems, we need to understand the cloud. What we really need to understand is that we don't have databases anymore. What we do have is data lakes, as you are seeing on screen. Am I right? We have oceans of data. And in order to understand that data, we have a unique opportunity of bringing intelligence into how we are protecting and defending our ecosystems. We have oceans of seas of data that we need to use to our advantage, that we need to correlate and use. Listen, one of the things that I have used probably dozens, if not hundreds of times, is that visual that you are seeing. Because mark my words, on my minute 11 of this presentation, you know better than me that the next big thing, the next big threat, it will happen from a keyboard, through a keyboard, with a keyboard, from a system, from an environment. So we need to protect on a cyber security aspect and with a cyber resiliency aspiration and fashion. We need to avoid that grenade or that keyboard grenade that you are seeing on screen. And as I said, we need to do it, you should do it, we do it at Micro Focus with a radical innovation approach, doing different things differently, not just being effective, but being efficient. Whatever you want to create in order to embrace, adapt, and adopt those effective and efficient cybersecurity ecosystems, well, they need to be open. They need to be flexible. They need to be adaptable, as I said, as architecture in a unified and simplified way. Remember, open, flexible, in a unified and simplified way. Our idea of an ecosystem, and let me stop in here because I'm assuming that you have seen a similar slide for basically every vendor out there. So I'm not trying to push anything in here except the fact, not just the multiple logos that you are seeing here, except the fact that we at Micro Focus, we have studied the idea of ecosystems. We have researched our discipline of ecosystem. And at this point in time on the presentation, on my minute 12, let me share the following with you. An ecosystem allows us to be systematic and systemic. Probably this is one of the most important things I'm saying in my half an hour presentation. Let me repeat. An ecosystem allows us to be systematic and systemic. Systematic means, or to my eyes, means systematic orchestration, automation, processes, procedures. And if this session is about creating those effective and efficient cybersecurity ecosystems, processes, procedures, automation, and orchestration is imperative. But ecosystem also allows me to be systematic. And systematic, and this is why the slide is so cool, is it belongs to an everything. It belongs to a system. It's systemic. It belongs to a universe of solutions that need to be remembered, not just connected, but integrated. In the very same way, if you want to create those ecosystems, you need to embrace different frameworks. And I can talk about different aspects of our approach at our engineers. They talk about the ISO 38500, the governance one, or the 27000, of course, the security one. Today, I want to spend 1 minute or two on talking about the MITRE attack framework. I'm sure that you know, but just in case, attack means adversarial, tactics, techniques, and common knowledge. Let me repeat that. Because the moment that you know the A, adversarial, the rival, the enemy, I'm a pacifist, but let me use that terminology, the enemy. So tactics and techniques from the adversary and common knowledge, how are they going to attack us? So if I am about to create an effective and efficient cybersecurity ecosystem, certainly I need to talk about, or I would appreciate to understand how they're trying to gain access. And those are the different columns that you are seeing on your screens, actually, on my slide deck. How they try to escalate privileges, how they're trying to do lateral movements within an environment, how they're trying to exfiltrate data, how they try to be persistent within the network, how they try to persist within an environment. So, and you can do that as you see it on the top left-hand corner. You can have that in real time because an ecosystem is something which is alive. Remember the DNA definition: birth, growth, development, function, and reproduction. Talking about persistence, you might correct me if I'm wrong, but talking about systematic and automation and orchestration, help is on the way. Help is on the way because you need to embrace machine learning. We have done so. Of the 4 types of machine learning, and there are 4, supervised, unsupervised, reinforcement learning, and deep learning. Of the 4 types of machine learning, we are working super heavily on the second one, unsupervised machine learning. Unsupervised machine learning, well, unsupervised machine learning learns by observation, while supervised machine learning learns by example. But unsupervised machine learning, it learns by observing. It learns by observation, and I feel there's beauty in that, okay? So when we were talking about that, people think that we fight algorithms, that we need to fight machine learning. No, we disagree. We at Micro Focus, we feel that you don't need to fight them. You need to collaborate with machines. You need to collaborate with algorithms. Of course, in an ethical, a legal approach. And there's a beautiful angle that I would love to discuss if I would have more time. But of course, we will be honored to talk later, if you will, with me, with my colleagues, with the rest of the company. We are at your service, but talking about the ethical approaches of data collection. In order to have the right ecosystem, you need data in order to protect. There's a saying that, and I don't want you to agree or disagree, but there's a saying, especially in the US, it's written in the World War II memorial, that it says freedom is not free. I am not saying that you have to agree, but as a thought, meaning if you want me to protect you, I need to have data. I need to have the right intelligence, am I right? And this is why I mentioned data lakes and these sort of things. But let's not forget the following. And this comes from the author Plautus. Plautus said, "Homo homini lupus est." Man is a wolf to man. Man is a wolf to man. I mean, the things that happen, it's in our hand, at our reach, to use and to excel and to shine using unsupervised machine learning. Remember, it learns by observation. I can talk more, but I need to follow with the presentation, but about reinforcement learning, how the algorithm is self-capable of learning on its mistakes. Actually, the algorithm is self-capable of being always on its A game, being always on the best version of the acronym. So this is why, as I am, rapidly starting to follow, we are inviting you to have a holistic vision. In order to create effective cybersecurity and cyber resiliency ecosystems, you need to have a holistic vision. Holistic means that the sum of the parts together are greater in value than each and every part considered individually, separated. And that's what we are doing at Micro Focus, having not just a mission and a vision, but a purpose and a promise. Let me repeat, a purpose and a promise, rather than just a vision and a mission, talking about cyber resiliency and cybersecurity, having that holistic vision. But yes, talking about a vision, there's a fantastic quote from Thomas Edison that I'm going to share with you. And I'm inviting you to pay attention to the idea of a vision without an execution is a hallucination. Let me repeat. Having a vision is great, but we need to execute. We need to create those ecosystems, and then embracing the law and legislation and regulation and best practices and frameworks and ideas and thoughts, and of course, technology. in a wider portfolio, in a holistic manner, understanding data security, application security, security operations, and last but not least, identity and access management. Well, that, you know what? That provides assurance. That provides certainty. That provides authenticity. Let me tell you something. You know, in our world of identity and access management, we tell a lot about the world of the 3 A's. I'm talking about a platform or an ecosystem. We talk about the world of the 3 A's: authentication, authorization, and administration. But then we at Micro Focus, we wondered, what happened with the 4th A, assurance? What happened with the 5th A, authenticity? What happened with the 6th A, auditing? They start with an A. So an ecosystem will be built on building blocks, like a Lego or a Tetris sort of thing, understanding the foundations of something. And I talked about architecture at the beginning, and I'm going to talk about architecture as I am finishing in some minutes from now, but talking about the right pillars, the right foundations in order to create effective and efficient cybersecurity ecosystems. And that's our interpretation of an ecosystem, of a journey. What you need to, my intention, our intention is for you to look in the outer blue circle, the outer ring, that there are 3 disciplines in there: protect, detect, and evolve. For the record, the 4th pillar of cyber resiliency, the cyber resiliency, the definition was evolve as well. Remember, it was anticipating, withstanding, recovering, and then evolving. So our interpretation as an ecosystem is exactly that journey: protecting, detecting, and evolving. If you go into the inner circle, you see different approaches. And of course, we do it with technology and services. That's what we do. We are Micro Focus. But we need to talk about how you strategize, how you withstand, how you defend, how you observe. You know, when you go to our step 5, I love it, because observing is not just looking. In English, observing means observing the law, meaning complying with the law. Observing is not just looking something or seeing something. It's actually be respectful with the law. And then, of course, recovering and adapting. That's our idea of an ecosystem. I've been talking 20 minutes. I'm going to be finishing soon, because probably there will be a couple of questions or something. I want to be respectful with the agenda, although I have been given 30 minutes. But as I am building my finish, I have used Latin before in a couple of slides before. Remember, homo homini lupus est, man is a wolf to man. Our interpretation of the realities out there, and again, I'm a pacifist, but I'm going to mention war again, because what is written in this beautiful picture, this is, by the way, a picture in the casino of Madrid in Spain, in the capital of my country. But what it says here in Latin is si vis pacem para bellum. What it means in English is, if you want peace, prepare for war. If you want peace, prepare for war, because unfortunately, cyber criminals are not going to stop. Actually, quite on the contrary. They will try, and they will try to persist. I have mentioned persistence before. I have mentioned persistence now. Well, I have a question for you, ladies and gentlemen. I understand that they are super persistent. They try to persist in the network. They try to persist in the system. They try to stay, right? Okay, so they are persistent. The question is not, however, how persistent they are. The question is how persistent you are. How persistent you are on protecting, defending, evolving, adapting, withstanding, observing. That's the name of the game, in a radical, innovative way. And we do that, again, in our 4 pillars: identity and access management, data security, application security, and security operations. If you want peace, prepare for war. Actually, prepare for the following. We are inviting you to play this game. We are inviting you basically to connect the dots. To connect the dots. Everything I have told you this afternoon for the past 23 minutes, you know, they're about understanding the gateway and understanding the information that comes back and forth. Actually, understanding the journey on data hiding and data masking, That's the idea of an ecosystem, systematic and systemic. That's the idea of a DNA that carries all of the genetic information for the birth, growth, development, function, and reproduction. We are inviting you to connect the dots. We're inviting you to the following journey. and we love this metaphor. The thing that you are seeing, hopefully on your screens, is our metaphor of a metro map. It's our metaphor of a journey. At the heart of it, you can see governance, or you can see privacy, if you will. But there are different stops in the journey. Am I right? I mean, if you take the S line, the pink one, the enterprise security line, you cannot expect to be resilient or secure, robust and solid. You cannot expect it in that ecosystem idea without understanding the stops on application security, identity management, tokenization, encryption. If you take the lines 1 or 2, so the green one or the blue one, depending on the colors on your screens, I mean, you cannot expect to have that ecosystem holistic vision without understanding structured data and unstructured data. Listen, not just the data that you know, structured data, but unstructured data, the idea of shadow IT and shadow data, how you need to understand personal identifiable information, how you auto-classify information, policies, controls, data recovery, archiving. All those sort of things are super, super important. Everything I have told you in these 25 minutes that I have passed, and then in 3 minutes I'm done. I'm back to the organization and for any question or comment. But everything I've told you, we have told you this afternoon, is about trust. Trust is earned. You are not trustable because you say so. You are trustable because others say so. You earned the trust of your people, your employees, your citizens, your consumers, your friends. Trust, ladies and gentlemen, is earned. So I'm inviting you, we are inviting you to become the best version of yourself. Talking about the gene for the next generation. The gene of the next generation cyber professional, cyber auditor, is the following. Through technology, through the right creation of the ecosystem, you can be even more intelligent. Actually, you can become a genius, someone that is remembered. Actually, we all should be generous in that ecosystem. Incident sharing and all those sort of things are fundamental. You can be genuine, authentic. Most importantly, you can become an agent of change. An agent of change for this epoch. But most importantly, we are inviting you to become a legend. To become a legend, because if you create the right ecosystem, that it will be in place for the next, 3, 5, 7, 10 years? Maybe forever, the right processes and procedures, the right technology, the right approach, the right understanding, you can become a legend. I started today talking about architecture. I'm going to finish with the ecosystems and the architecture, because that's, the building blocks I was telling, the architecture that you need to create, it has to be adaptable, and it has to be respectful with the existing architecture. Am I right? That's what we do at Micro Focus. When we approach identity and access management, it is super respectful with the investments that people have done. It has to be flexible and adaptable. It has to be recognizable. Am I right? I mean, this is the opera house in Sydney. Everybody in the world understands that. But it has to be recognizable. Actually, as I'm speaking you from Barcelona, I'm talking about architecture. My last slide is about, of course, our fantastic cathedral. If somewhere in the future, we ever finished it, they say by 2050. But the beautiful of a cathedral, building that ecosystem. Antoni Gaudí, the architect, was obsessed with the right foundations. And instead of regular columns, he built bones. He built muscles. What you are seeing at the bottom of this picture is the muscles that support a cathedral. So creating effective and efficient ecosystem is about the right bones, the right foundations, the right pillars. So he said something like originality. If you want to be original, if you want to be cool in cybersecurity in order to create the right the right effective and efficient cybersecurity ecosystems, originality consists in returning to the origin, returning to the roots. And at the beginning of this presentation, 28 minutes ago, I said, thank you. And it is another thank you. Thank you for inviting us. Thank you for having us. I'm representing Micro Focus as the International Chief Technology Officer. My name is Ramses Gallego. I have been blessed for presenting for you this afternoon. Back to you. Thank you for having us.
Mr. Ramses, thank you so much. Your presentation, it's a pity that participants, they're not here to feel your passion for this field. Since I know you, I think 7 years ago, I met you for the first time, your speeches are really inspired. And maybe I will ask you, after you presented so many ideas, and these ecosystems, indeed, it's really very complicated. And if you don't have passion, if you don't collaborate, if you don't connect dots, right? It's really complicated to survive because, as you said, we are not fighting. We need to collaborate. So maybe one may take away for our audience because we have different participants. We have operational, we have policymakers. If you can tell us.
Absolutely. Thanks again for the nice comment. I remember when we first met, and it's always a blessing to share, to educate, and we the good guys, I know that we have people in the room that are policymakers and people from the government, but people from education and healthcare and retail and telco. I mean, we the good guys, we need to share. We need to build the right building blocks. Of course, it has to be with an idea of consistency, right? But let me finish with the following sentence. The contrary of security is not insecurity, but complacency. Complacency. I know it's difficult. I understand. We at Micro Focus, we understand it's difficult. Sometimes it's overwhelming. But the alternative of not doing it is being hacked. So the contrary of security is not insecurity, but complacency. So we need to be robust, solid, and create those effective and efficient cybersecurity ecosystem. That's what we do at Micro Focus through our technology and our second-to-none portfolio.
Mr. Ramses, I'm sorry we don't have an audience here to ask you. I'm sure there are many questions and they want to ask you. But we have heard yesterday a couple of times about investment, Security, it's not cheap. So we have on the one hand technology moving forward, and it's so expensive. On the other hand, we have governance, they should compliance, they should bring this policy and laws. But on the other hand, we need the money, so we need to invest. You need to invest in people, in technology. So maybe you can relate a little bit here what the government should do first, because we have seen, I love that pictures, it's really like you get lost. So maybe you can give us some advices what the government should do, how we can connect dots. As you mentioned, sharing is caring, right? So with what we should start?
Absolutely. Well, my answer is the holy discipline of prioritization. Of course, in cybersecurity or in resiliency, there's nothing such as a big bang, meaning you are not 0% today and overnight you are 100%. That doesn't happen. So you need to prioritize. Actually, at the heart of GDPR, at the heart of the law, it says privacy impact assessment, meaning you need to know what's at stake. You need to know where your data is. And then the verb prioritize exists for a reason, meaning let's say start encrypting information. I understand there are a million things that we have to do in cybersecurity, million, okay? But we don't have either the money or the talent or the time. But we should do something, right? Because otherwise, that's my idea of complacency. So, I don't know, start encrypting all of the information. Even if you are hacked, but everything is encrypted, I mean, in a court of law, that's considered, a mitigation strategy. Or let's start with identity and access management, but not the full-fledged identity and access management. Of course, we do it at Micro Focus, but start with authentication, making sure that Ramses is who he says he is, So prioritization is what comes into my mind as per your question. I know that budgets and money are not infinite or unlimited, unfortunately, I have to say, but prioritization. Start on something, start the journey. And when you have a company or the vendors, but we are Micro Focus, we have that big portfolio, you need to start that journey and then look into 1, 2, 3 years, 5 years investment, but start on something. Prioritization, that's my answer.
Thank you, Mr. Ramses. Indeed, prioritization. But what we have seen in reality, unfortunately, you know, usually people are moving after something really bad is happening, right? So how many years we are since the Estonian attack? 12 or... Correct me if I'm wrong.
Something like that. Yes.
So 12, no, even more. From Georgia, 12 years also. So thank you for your great speech and presentation, very inspired, and I'm sure many people after this day, thank you. Have a nice afternoon. After this day,
they will...
Thank you
very much for having us. Bye-bye.
Thank you.